Putin's army's advance has stalled in Donbass just as Moscow is preparing for new talks with the US on resuming cooperation. At the end of this week, Putin's army lost territory for the first time in more than a year. Bloomberg reports Ukrainian forces are pushing the enemy further and further away from Pokrovsk, one of the key logistics hubs of the Ukrainian Armed Forces in Donbass. At the same time, the Russian armed forces regained control of about 25% of the territory in the Kursk region, which was previously held by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. The events in Kursk region will deprive Kiev of almost its only trump card in the negotiation process with the Russian Federation. In the Kursk region, the Russians have intensified pressure on the Ukrainian defenders from the west, north, and east. It is likely that the defense forces in the Kursk region maintain control over approximately 300 square kilometers of territory. However, the Russian armed forces are conducting fewer offensive operations in their locations on the front line compared to the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. In the area of Pokrovsk, Ukrainian forces have already conducted a number of counterattacks. Near the settlements of Pishchane, Udachne and Shevchenko, as well as in the zone of the logistic highway T0506. According to British intelligence estimates, opportunities for Ukrainian counter-offensive actions have increased as the occupiers have reduced the number of their own ground offensives. Additionally, the logistic supply lines of the enemy in the Pokrovsk direction have been disrupted by Ukrainian strikes using FPV drones. To force Ukraine to sit down at the negotiating table, the US decided to suspend intelligence sharing and military aid. Analysts say Putin's army has slowed its advance in eastern Ukraine since November 2024. However, the Kremlin continues to attack Ukrainian cities with missiles and suicide drones, continues air attacks on the Russian Federation and Kiev. On the night of March the 11th alone, a record number of drones were launched attacking targets in the Moscow region, Ryazan and Kursk region. Analysts write that since January 2024, Putin's army has been constantly advancing on the positions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Over the course of a year, slightly more than 4,000 square kilometers of Ukrainian land was captured. This area is comparable to 2 Petersburgs. The greatest activity of military actions occurred between September and November 2024, when Russia captured 56.5% of all territories that came under its control last year.
Ukrainian forces have launched series of counterattacks in strategically important city of Pokrovsk in eastern Donetsk region, while Russian forces put pressure on Ukrainian units in border Kursk region, British Defense Ministry posted on X, citing a report by Defense Intelligence. According to the intelligence report published on Monday, Ukrainian forces have launched a number of counterattacks near Pyskane, Udachne, Shevchenko and south of Kyiv, which lies on the logistical highway, the 0506. Opportunities for Ukrainian counteroffensives have been improved by the reduced number of ground offensives being carried out by Russia. Russian logistics supply lines on the Pokrovsk A6 have also been degraded by Ukrainian first-person view uncrewed aerial system attacks, the intelligence report reads. In addition, Russian forces have stepped up attacks on Ukrainian forces in the Kursk, from the west, north and east. According to the report, Ukrainian troops maintain control of around 300 square kilometers of territory of Russia's Kursk region. The intelligence report noted that Russian forces are conducting fewer offensive operations elsewhere on the frontline compared to late 2024 and early 2025. Meanwhile, Deep State reported that Ukrainian forces have resumed their position near Sinkovka village in Kharkiv region and Berlitskoy in eastern Donetsk region, while Russian troops advanced near Yulikli village in Donetsk. It should be noted that last week, Russia claimed capturing several villages in Ukrainian-held pockets of Kursk, a few days after Donald Trump's administration stopped military aid and intelligence sharing with Kiev. Ukraine launched counteroffensive in Russia's Kursk region in early August and has been holding swathes of lands in the region as a bargaining chip in peace negotiations with the Kremlin.
The Ukrainian Defense Forces apparently distinguished themselves on the battlefield again. Russian ZWAR correspondent Alexei Zivov reported on the defeat of a column of the Russian Armed Forces on one of the sections of the front. The propagandist made an angry post. Zivov did not say where exactly the clash took place. According to him, the Russian Armed Forces column that was sent to storm the area was destroyed by Ukrainians using attack UAVs. The ZWAR correspondent even suspected that the Russian Army Command was deliberately destroying its own troops. A column, again, drones, the fourth year of military actions. I don't see the point in either commenting or being indignant. I'm starting to feel helpless. Apparently, what happened was the goal. There's no other way to explain it, wrote the upset Z-Patriot. According to Alexei Zivov, the number of tanks, armored fighting vehicles, and other vehicles destroyed during the battle exceeded 10. For several times, columns of Russian military equipment have been destroyed by Ukrainian drones. A large number of soldiers were also killed. However, the Russian military command still fails to learn the necessary lessons from this. That is why Russian losses on the front are increasing. Earlier, media reported that near Vovchansk, the 71st Separate Brigade destroyed a column of tanks and infantry fighting vehicles. FPV drone operators of the 71st Jaeger Brigade of the Airborne Assault Troops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine in the Vovchansk direction were able to stop and destroy a column of enemy equipment. The engineering troops mined the area and the first tank was blown up by their trap. 2 armored personnel carriers unsuccessfully tried to bypass the unexpected obstacle but were hit by precise UAV strikes. Recently, Russian occupation troops attempted to break through the Ukrainian defenses using a large armored convoy towards Chasiv Yar. Of the 20 units, Ukrainian forces successfully hit approximately 14 vehicles. According to the 24th Mechanized Brigade, more than 20 pieces of equipment, including airborne infantry fighting vehicles, were recorded. The assault on Ukrainian positions began in the morning of March the 6th. The convoy was tracked by reconnaissance drones from the start of its movement and then targeted by artillery and attack drones. The attack caused Russian equipment to get bogged down in a traffic jam. The hit vehicles blocked the canal crossing while the surviving soldiers tried to retreat. However, the Ukrainian military claims that not everyone managed to leave the battlefield. At least 14 pieces of equipment were destroyed or abandoned, and Russian army personnel losses are estimated at no less than 33 killed or wounded. The enemy infantry that managed to land tried to take cover in houses but was eliminated by drone strikes.